Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Chapter 36 Ghost Tun-E, First Rank, the Book of Controlling Ghosts. On the Sin and Prison Sutra, the page belonging to Taoist is shining brightly. The handwriting became blurred, but did not disappear. Not only that, Su Yuxing also had an extra chance to draw a lottery. This was the first time Su Yuxing had seen this situation, but he already had guesses in his mind. Did Gui Tun fake his death? This is only possible with feigned death. You can fool everyone, but you can't fool the Sin and Prison Sutra. However, it can make the information on the Sin and Prison scripture blurred, and even the number of lottery draws is revealed. It is estimated that it is an extremely clever way of feigning death. Su Yuxing hurried back to the prison. After 3 procedures of body examination, he changed into the jailer's uniform and went to the second floor of Tianlao, Renzihao prison. As soon as I arrived at the cell, I saw Lao Huang and the others sitting at the table drinking tea and chatting. Su Yuxing walked in slowly, pretending to be nonchalant. Why is Xiao Su back? Today is the Lantern Festival, aren't you going to play? One of the jailers greeted him. Su Yuxing went to the 3rd floor of the prison to participate in the assessment every day, and none of the guards at Renzihao ignored him. It has been known for a long time that he is favored by the prison secretary, and he will join the prison secretary soon, and he will make a fortune. Naturally, everyone is close to him. Su Yuxing made an annoyed expression on his face, waved his hands and said, "Oh, don't mention it. Walking on the street, my clothes were stained by a few dolls, I lost all interest, so I just came back. There are so many people on the street during the Lantern Festival, there is nothing we can do about it." A jailer knocked on a melon seed and said with a smile, "It's such a pleasure to let you accompany us on duty in prison, drink tea and chat. You think Xiao Su is you? She is only 18 this year, and has a bright future and is born handsome. Naturally, I have to go out more and see if I can pick up a lady from everyone." Extremely extreme. A group of people joked about Su Yuxing. Su Yuxing showed appropriate embarrassment, then changed the subject and took the opportunity to ask, "Old Huang, I see that there are no prisoners in prison number 4. I'm afraid they have escaped." Lao Huang scolded with a smile. "Bah, bah, crow's mouth. The demon head of the 10,000 ghosts cave in prison number 4 is dead. Today's Shangyuan festival is rising and evil is disappearing, so it's really appropriate to die." Quote. All the jailers were more happy about the death of Ghost Tun Taoist. After all, fewer prisoners means less trouble for them to be on duty in the future. Su Yuxing pretended to be surprised, chatted with several guards for a while, and then said, "I got a bit of a headache after blowing outside at night, so I went back to rest first." Su Yuxing originally wanted to find an excuse to go back to the room to draw a lottery, but he never thought about it. Lao Huang muttered, "Everyone is young, and Martial Dao is also strong. Why are they so weak? They all complain of headaches." When Su Yuxing heard this, he stopped and asked, "Who else has a headache?" "Zhang Fang, I went to prison number 4 to collect the corpse, and when I came back, I was dizzy. What time is it?" And I went back to the room. Maybe someone else wants to go back to practice. Indeed, he is the one who works the hardest in my Renzi prison. A group of jailers started chatting around Zhang Fang. But Su Yuxing's mind turned. Gui Tun feigned death, and Zhang Fang was dizzy, combined with the appearance of violent death seen on Zhang Fang before. Su Yuxing seemed to understand something. Half a quarter of an hour later, Su Yuxing came to the door of number 4 cell. Ghost Tun is dead, and the body was taken away by the prison guard, and it may already be lying on the demon dispelling table at this moment. Naturally, the restrictions of the magic circle in cell number 4 were also removed. Su Yuxing walked in and took a look, and there was nothing unusual in the cell. He didn't expect to find any clues here, after all, the prison guard had checked it many times. Su Yuxing turned and left the cell, and returned to his own residence. Exercising his spiritual powers, he listened to the movement in Zhang Fang's room. There is no abnormality. Zhang Fang was sleeping on the bed wrapped in a blanket, as if he had already fallen asleep. But this is precisely the biggest anomaly. Based on Su Yuxing's understanding of Zhang Fang, it is absolutely impossible for this guy to sleep at this time. Ghost Tun Taoist is attached to Zhang Fang with a high probability, but what method is used? It remains to be found out. Su Yuxing didn't waste any time. After confirming the matter, he withdrew his magical powers, and then turned his attention back to himself. Sin and Prison Scripture. Wei Tun feigned death and contributed a lottery chance, but Su Yuxing hasn't drawn yet. Ghost Tun after feigning death still provides experience points. However, this experience value is too little, a full 2/3 less than before, and it is only equivalent to a prisoner at the pulse condensation realm. Su Yuxing shook his head, ignored him, and started drawing the lottery directly. Perhaps it was related to Wei Tun's suspended animation. Only one light group appeared in this lottery. The light group is black, giving people a ghostly feeling. The black light group blends in. In an instant, a large number of memory images flooded into Su Yuxing's mind. In the screen, Su Yuxing has become a sinister boy. Joined the 10,000 ghosts nest since childhood, stood out in the cruel selection like raising a GU, and got the inheritance of the tens of thousands ghosts nest. Then practice all the way, climbing up step by step from the disciples of the outer sect in the cave of 10,000 ghosts at the bottom. Inner discipline, outer sect deacon, inner sect deacon. In the end, he became one of the top elders in 10,000 ghosts cave. It's a pity that the good times didn't last long. In a sect internal fight, Wei Tun was defeated and almost died. Call. Su Yuxing slowly opened his eyes and exhaled a foul breath. A look of vicissitudes flashed in his eyes, but it disappeared quickly. Ghost Swallow Taoist's inheritance far exceeded Su Yuxing's expectations. Who knows? The memory involved in this inheritance actually lasted hundreds of years. In this memory, Su Yuxing has almost gone through a ghostly life. Oh no, it should be Sansheng. Ghost Tun actually feigned death and rebuilt it 3 times. The 3 times I entered the 10,000 ghosts cave, the 3 times I practiced the same cultivation technique, and the 3 times I practiced death to rebuild, the achievement of the first time was lower than the first time. No wonder, the same 9th stage of transformation, the ghost-swallowing species, is so many times stronger than the red-haired Yan Huan and others. Su Yuxing's eyes were complicated. Who would have thought that Ghost Tun's real name is not Ghost Tun, but Cao Xiao? It was Power, the demon head of 10,000 ghost caves with demonic flames more than 200 years ago. The fierce reputation is 10 times stronger than Ghost Tun Taoist, and the strength is more than 100 times that of Ghost Tun Taoist. Is an innate above. Spirit Sea Realm Ghost Cultivator. Su Yuxing also knew the method of feigning death and reincarnation used by Ghost Tun. This method comes from the cultivation technique majored in by Ghost Tun 3. It is also the inheritance cultivation technique drawn by Su Yuxing this time. First rank, Traveling Ghosts. Traveling Ghosts. First rank, the 4th floor, 2,934 100,000ths. At this moment, in Su Yuxing's mind, countless light spots converged. A little black drop-shaped liquid appeared, and then rapidly increased and expanded. From water droplets to water clusters, and from water clusters to puddles. And in this process, Su Yuxing's thoughts also spread out. That feeling is like returning to when he was promoted to innate. Be fascinated, believe in the horse. Su Yuxing was not surprised by this. Because he has seen Ghost Tun rebuilt 3 times, he understands. First rank, the Book of Controlling Ghosts. Those who control are ghosts, and those who raise. But God. Chapter 37. God here. It refers to the mind, and the meaning of the soul. Before Su Yuxing breakthrough innate, I felt that the world in front of me had changed. Can clearly perceive all kinds of spiritual chi-killing intent yin in the surrounding environment, and see people and things in detail, very clearly. It is because of his, God, that he has grown stronger. As for the Book of Controlling Ghosts, the major is the soul. If one's own spirit is not strong and the soul is not strong, how can one subdue those fierce and powerful ghosts? This divine state did not stop completely until the black water droplets in Su Yuxing's mind expanded to the size of a puddle. At this time, Su Yuxing's spirit was more than 10 times stronger than before. With a thought, the black puddle in the mind released an invisible and intangible spiritual thought, like the ripples of raindrops falling on the water surface, spreading out quickly. Wherever the divine thoughts passed, everything was clearly presented in Su Yuxing's mind. He can even hear voices, which is better than his spiritual ear, supernatural power. This feeling is quite strange, as if he suddenly had countless eyes and ears. He manipulated his mind to easily penetrate the wall and seep into the ground. I found a room at random, and saw a jailer resting in the room. The divine sense pounces on the viscera of the latter, the blood flowing in the veins, the faint true chi running in the meridians. He could see everything clearly. Even flesh and blood can't stop it, and it can detect the opponent's strength from a long distance. Su Yuxing was studying, when the jailer, whom he regarded as a guinea mouse, suddenly turned pale, and fell to his knees with a plop, his body trembling like chaff, begging for mercy. Ghosts. There are ghosts. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Using spiritual thoughts to detect others, can you even detect a mere condensed pulse? Su Yuxing was thoughtful. In terms of concealment, it is far inferior to the supernatural power of the ear. Then spiritual mind came to the cell again, and was about to enter, but was stopped by the magic circle restrictions at the door of the cell. Su Yuxing increased the output of spiritual thoughts, and the restrictions immediately rattled and trembled, and the light flickered. There is a situation. Seeing this scene, the two guards passing by on patrol immediately rushed towards the scene, shouting. Su Yuxing hastily withdrew his spiritual thoughts. After experimenting in this way, Su Yuxing can be regarded as clear. Spirituality is really useful. The detection range is wide, the detection ability is strong, and it is extremely convenient. And it also has certain attack attributes. A few miles or even dozens of miles away, you can use your spiritual thoughts to frighten the enemy and defeat the enemy without fighting. The disadvantage is that it is easy to alarm others, and it is easy to be isolated by the true essence and magic circle, and it is not secret enough. But if it cooperates with the supernatural power of the ear, this shortcoming can be well made up for. My current limit detection range of divine sense is 20 miles, which is almost 5 to 10 times that of an ordinary innate grade master. Su Yuxing couldn't help sighing. Traveling ghosts is indeed a first-rank peerless cultivation technique. No wonder it takes a full 100,000 experience points just to upgrade from the 4th floor to the 5th floor. Coincidentally, after Su Yuxing's previous breakthrough innate 4th stage, he has accumulated more than 100,000 experience points. It was simply added to the Book of Controlling Ghosts, raising the Book of Controlling Ghosts to the 5th level. In an instant, Su Yuxing's spirit soared. The black puddle in my mind, which represented the soul, suddenly expanded, and turned into a 1-acre square puddle in the blink of an eye. Boom! The skyrocketing spirit caused Su Yuxing's spirit to spread out uncontrollably. In an instant, it swept through the entire dungeon on the 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, and 4th floor. Countless restrictions were aroused along the way, and the jailers and officials all had heart palpitations, and there was a commotion in an instant. And when his spiritual thoughts passed by the 4th floor at a high speed, Su Yuxing saw in a corner, a man in the high-grade official uniform of the prison guard suddenly jumped up, with a mixture of shock and anger on his face. He Fangxiao is young, dare to peep into the Deu prison. Before he could take a few more glances, a huge divine sense also appeared from under the 5-story dungeon and slammed into him fiercely. There seemed to be coldly humming in it. Su Yuxing hastily withdrew his divine sense, not daring to reveal any more. Hearing the chaotic footsteps outside the door, Su Yuxing had the feeling of a child getting into trouble. But this rough time, let him know it. It turns out that the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th floors of the prison are guarded by strong men, and the one on the 4th floor, who is wearing the high-grade official uniform of the prison guard, must be a strong man from the innate Grand Master realm. The divine sense on the 5th floor. Should it be a strong person in the spiritual sea realm? Quote. After breaking through the 5th floor of the Sutra of Controlling Ghosts, Su Yuxing's soul also skyrocketed by more than 10 times. In terms of the strength of the soul alone, it can already compete with the spiritual sea realm. With Ghost Tun's memory of the 3rd life, Su Yuxing also knows many things about the practice world. For example, the martial Dao realm division on innate. Above the innate is the Linghai, above the Linghai is the Xuandan, and above the Xuandan is the Faxiang, and there seems to be a higher realm above the Faxiang. Su Yuxing was secretly speechless. I thought that after I was promoted to innate, I could be considered a character to some extent. I never thought that there are so many realms on innate, and there are many people who can crush their own people. Go. You have to go. Set a small goal first, and let's talk about becoming a Dharma within 10 years. Quote. Su Yuxing's gains from this lottery draw can be regarded as extremely huge. Whether it is cultivation technique inheritance, strength improvement, or knowledge. If it wasn't for Gui Tun's 3 times of feigning death and rebuilding, and his spirit being damaged again and again, I am afraid that I would have no chance to get the inheritance of the Ghost Controlling Sutra. After all, it is a first-rank peerless cultivation technique that directly refers to the realm of Dharma. Quote, with the identity and strength of Ghost Tunnel's first world elder Cao Xiao and Linghai power, he is actually a peerless villain who should be imprisoned on the 5th floor, or even the 6th floor. What I said was really a mistake. Quote, Long Yu was teased by shrimps in shallow water, and tigers were bullied by dogs in Pingyang. Poor Gui Tuntang, a giant in the ghost world, the last thing he has learned, is all for nothing Su Yuxing. Su Yuxing retranslated, the classic of controlling ghosts. The content of Controlling Ghosts is actually divided into 2 parts. The first half talks about restoration, which Su Yuxing has just seen. The second half is about controlling ghosts. It contains a large number of ghost methods and secret methods. Searching for souls, seizing souls, erasing consciousness. Of course, there is the most critical, raising ghosts and controlling ghosts. Wan Gui Cave Ghost Cultivator, all of his strength is reflected in the ghost he controls. For example, in the first life of Gatun, when he was the elder Cao Xiao of the 10,000 ghost caves, he had a Linghai ghost king, several innate ghost generals, and countless ghost soldiers and ghost soldiers under innate. When fighting with people, the ghost flag shakes, and all ghosts come out of the cage, and the devil flames are surging. Su Yuxing couldn't help being amazed when he recalled some pictures in his memory. Only with this kind of ominous power, the Book of Controlling Ghosts is worthy of the 4 words, first-rank peerless. It's a pity that Su Yuxing inherited only ghost cultivation base in the lottery, but he didn't have half of the ghost pets under him. Neither does Ghost Tun himself. If he could be caught in the Dayu prison, the ghost pets he had cultivated so hard would naturally be taken away by Tu Mozi. In order to become the supreme of Ghost Dao, Su Yuxing has to do it himself and train Ghost. Chapter 38. Rhino Photo. Su Yuxing tapped his true energy, lightly tapped between his eyebrows. Immediately, the scene in his eyes changed drastically. As the old saying goes, if you burn the horn of a rhinoceros, you can see ghosts and gods. The Rhino's Photo technique recorded in the Book of Controlling Ghosts is the meaning of it. In fact, Su Yuxing's supernatural powers can also do this, but he has never used it. Under the rhinoceros lighting technique, Su Yuxing saw ghosts all around him. In the corner of the room, there was a terrifying man staring at him with scarlet eyes. Su Yuxing was taken aback. Anyone who suddenly finds that there is an extra person in the room where they are alone will be frightened. He originally wanted to use the rhinoceros technique to see if there were ghosts in the sky prison, so he could catch 2 and raise them. I never thought that I have them in my room. And this ghost seems to have a grudge against him, looking at On's eyes as if he has the hatred of killing his son and taking his wife. Su Yuxing carefully identified it, and found that this ghost turned out to be Chu Longzhong, who had donated the 4th-ranked human butcher knife to him back then. Is it because I didn't agree to deal with him until I died? As for that, follow me all the time, it's too small-minded. Quote. Su Yuxing shook his head, got up and took 2 steps toward Chu Longzhong's ghost. Unexpectedly, the guy's eyes immediately showed a deep look of horror. He turned around and threw himself on the wall, and disappeared immediately. Su Yuxing was stunned. After thinking about it, I came back. I am now an innate great master, and I have 180,000 experience in the 5th realm of the human butcher knife, the 7th floor of the golden body of the Balrog. Even though the breaking breath Ju has also been promoted to the 5th level, there is no breath at all. But Chu Long has kept this ghost 6th by his side for so long, probably he has already understood his hidden strength to some extent. Although I hate myself, I am even more afraid of myself. If you are discovered by yourself, you will naturally run away. Knowing my details, I can't keep you anymore. Su Yuxing's face turned cold, and his divine sense was quickly released. It took only an instant to find the location of Chu Longzhong's ghost, and with a light scroll of his divine sense, he was able to capture him back. Under the shackles of divine sense, Chu Long twisted his ghost into a cloud of black smoke in Su Yuxing's hands, trying to break free. Just so you try the soul search technique. Su Yuxing's divine sense came out. In an instant, the cloud of smoke in his hand rolled violently. After a while, Su Yuxing opened his eyes with a hint of understanding on his face. So that's why you hate me so much. Chu Long will have a son when he is old, and he has a posthumous pregnancy. Before he was born, he was imprisoned in the prison. At the beginning, he was tortured to death and refused to speak, but in the end he offered to make a deal with Su Yuxing. All because he wanted to leave the treasures he had hidden to his own wife and children. It's a pity that not only failed to fulfill his wish, the secret that he had to keep until the end was reported to Dulo by Su Yuxing. In the future, his wife and children are doomed to be miserable for half their lives, so how can they not hate Su Yuxing? According to the method recorded in the Book of Controlling Ghosts, Su Yuxing planted a little soul imprint in the ghost in Chu Long. This can be regarded as controlling it, and it will be driven by Su Yuxing from then on. The soul seal needs to be strengthened from time to time, otherwise if the ghost pet's strength exceeds the deity in the future, there will be a danger of backlash. However, with Su Yuxing's practice speed and Chu Longzhang's background, there is no possibility of such a backlash in this life. If you have too many ghosts, you need to raise ghost banners, ghost pots and other ghost Dao magical items. A few of them are fine, and you can temporarily store them in your body. Su Yuxing thought for a while, and took Chu Longzhang's ghost into the fingernail of his left little finger. From now on, with a single thought, he can throw Chu Longzhang out to swallow ghosts and kill people. Come on, it's up to you, General Chu Long. Su Yuxing suddenly thought of it. Even General Chu Long can follow me, so if I killed those people before, will I become a ghost and follow me all the time? Su Yuxing immediately walked out of the room. After searching for a while, I found 5 evil spirits 7 or 8 meters away from my room. The eldest, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 6th of the 7 demons of Mobei. The first 4 died at the hands of Su Yuxing, and the last one died in the execution ground, probably following the first 4. The Mobei 7 demons were beaten to death by Su Yuxing, and their death was extremely tragic. Now they are hanging upside down from the ceiling, staring at Su Yuxing like bats. Seeing Su Yuxing coming, he became frightened again and scattered like birds and beasts. Su Yuxing captured them one by one with his spiritual thoughts, and melted them all into his own fingernails. But I haven't seen Li Shang. During the turmoil on the first floor of the prison, the escaped military prisoners who died under Su Yuxing's hands were not seen. Su Yuxing speculates that it may be related to martial Dao cultivation base whether one can become a ghost after death. In the future, people who have seen my true strength will not only die, but their souls will not be let go. Su Yuxing caught a few more evil spirits, making up 10 fingers. Everything is missing in the sky prison, but there is no shortage of ghosts. Those who died unjustly, those who died of illness, those who died of serious injuries, those who died of hatred. There are too many prisoners, and there are a lot of them if you just catch them. But don't dare to catch too much. One is that I am afraid that there will be no place to put it on my body, and the other is that there will be too many evil spirits in the prison suddenly, which will attract the attention of the prison guard. Su Yuxing didn't dare to be too presumptuous ever since he knew that there were experts in the spirit sea realm on the 5th floor of the prison. I don't know if there are any ghosts born from those devils who were filled into the corpse pit of the prison department after death. Su Yuxing thought in his heart, when he became the township prison officer and his position was mixed up, he would definitely go to the 10,000 corpse pit to have a look. Those tyrannical old devils who became ghosts after death must be even more vicious. When everything was over, Su Yuxing saw that he was ordinary, but actually had 10 fingernails hidden by evil spirits, and couldn't help sighing. Martial Dao has cultivated to this level, he is already extraordinary, like a fairy. Quote. Of the 10 evil spirits that Su Yuxing collected, the Mobei 7 devils were the most vicious, followed by General Chu Long. But the strength is that the ghost soldiers and ghost soldiers of body tempering are first class, and they are completely useless. If I want to unleash the power of the Ghost Control Sutra as soon as possible, I still need a powerful Ghost King with full potential to lead the charge. The method of fighting the enemy in the Book of Controlling Ghosts is to bully the few with more, and to suppress people with ghosts. But if there are too many ghosts, there must be a leading ghost boss. Just like an army, without generals, without a leader, the combat effectiveness will definitely be greatly reduced. Where can I find the mighty Ghost King? Su Yuxing thought about it, and suddenly a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind. He really thought of one. The reason why Ghost Tun Taoist fell to being captured by Tu Mozi and imprisoned in the prison. It is also because of this powerful ghost. Chapter 39. Drive. Call. In the wilderness, a carriage staggered to a stop. The driver of the cart pulled the reins, looked at the desolation around him, turned his head and called into the car in a low voice, young master, here we are." Oh good. Following his call, a handsome young man in a black robe stepped out of the car. Young Master Jungsho took out a piece of silver from his pocket, paid for the fare, and then walked slowly towards a certain direction. The coachman took the silver and was overjoyed, glanced at the strolling young master, hesitated for a while, couldn't help shouting, "Young master, where are you going? How about I give you another ride?" Quote. Young Master Jungsho shook his head, "Forget it, my house is 2 or 3 miles ahead, I'll just walk there." The coachman laughed and said, "My lord, don't be joking. There are no people in this area for dozens of miles. There are mass graves 2 or 3 miles ahead." In the middle of speaking, the smile on the coachman's face suddenly froze, and his expression became unnatural. And the handsome young master heard what he said, gave him a strange look in his eyes, and said quietly, "My family is in that mass grave, isn't it?" After finishing speaking, the whole person was half a foot off the ground, suspended in midair. When the coachman saw it, his eyes widened, his mouth grew wide, and he froze in place for 3 seconds. Then he yelled, "Damn it!" He drove the carriage around and left. The speed was several times faster than when he came. Seeing the carriage disappear without a trace, Su Yuxing chuckled and fell back to the ground. Innate Great Master pretends to be a scary ghost, that's me. Su Yuxing's innate true essence combined with Qinggong is enough to support him to fly off the ground for a short time. At this time, Su Yuxing was in the wasteland in the western suburbs 30 miles outside Yujing City. There is an imperial mausoleum in the eastern suburb of Yujing, and a well-known mass grave in the western suburb. And the powerful ghost in Taoist's memory is in the mass grave. Originally, Ghost Tun took a fancy to the strength and potential of this ghost, and wanted to capture it as a ghost pet. But he underestimated the fierceness of that ghost, and he was promoted to innate ghost general. After some planning, not only did he not succeed, but he was severely injured by the ghost general. Several of his pets in the transmortal realm were destroyed, and his vitality was also seriously injured. It was also like this that he was accidentally caught when he was hunted down by 2 Mozi later. Everyone who plays with ghosts, but in the end they still fall on ghosts. It's really a drink and a peck. The world is wonderful. Su Yuxing sighed, and walked towards the location of the mass grave in the western suburbs in his memory. He is responsible for the 2 superb Qinggong movement techniques of snake-shaped ghost walk, and floating light, coupled with the drive of innate's true energy. The whole person moves, his figure is erratic, and he can cross a distance of tens of feet with a flicker. If the coachman hadn't left just now, seeing this scene, he would have yelled hell in broad daylight. However, the rumors of ghosts in the mass graves in the western suburbs have not been a day or two for a long time. There is not much Su Yuxing, and there is a lot less him. After traveling for several miles, Su Yuxing finally saw the appearance of the mass grave and knew that he had arrived. But the size of the mass grave was beyond Su Yuxing's expectations. As far as the eye can see, there are grave mounds everywhere, and there are even no mounds, only a roll of tattered grass swept and thrown on the ground. Jackals and wild dogs can be found everywhere, and some even actively dig up the graves and drag out the buried corpses to eat. The stumps and human bones are scattered everywhere. After eating too much human flesh, even the eyeballs of each of them are miserable green. Ghost mist shrouded the surrounding fields. Although it was sunny at noon, the entire mass grave was as dark as dusk on a cloudy day. Su Yuxing released his divine sense to probe in, and the limit distance of 200 miles came to an end. They didn't even find out where the boundary of this mass grave was. Among them, there are many ghosts, and there are ghosts and monsters everywhere. This isn't a mass grave, it's clearly a mass grave. Su Yuxing was astonished. He finally knew why there was such a place at the foot of the imperial city. I'm afraid it's not that the court doesn't want to deal with it, but that it can't be dealt with at all, or the cost of dealing with it is too high. So much so that this mass burial site has existed until now. However, only ghosts like this can give birth to a powerful ghost that makes even a former ghost boss like Gui Tun envious. With a sigh of relief, Su Yuxing stepped into the mass grave. Not long after walking out, I felt a blur in front of my eyes, and two more things appeared in front of me. A yellow-skinned child with pure white hair and green eyes was staring at him faintly. The other one is a hanged female ghost with a pale face and a half-kai-long tongue sticking out. The two of them blocked Su Yuxing's way very tacitly, and looked at Su Yuxing as if they were looking at a piece of delicious hot meat. Su Yuxing was taken aback for a moment, then couldn't help laughing. As long as he stretches out his hand a little and releases two saber chi, he can kill these two robbers. But that would be boring. It's just right, let me try the ghost soldiers I just trained with you. Su Yuxing flipped his 10 fingers, turned out 10 ghost images, and jumped directly at the two things in front of him. He put his hands on his chest and stood aside with a smile to watch the play. Come on, General Chu Long, come on, Mobei 7 Devils. It's up to you. Quote, Mass Burial Center. The ghost fog here is thick, almost 10 times that of the edge. No sunlight comes in, and the day is like night. Ordinary people come here, it is estimated that within 3 breaths, they will be eroded by the ghost fog, and their blood will be exhausted and they will die. And in this ghost fog, there are still many ghost shadows wandering around. There is a general wearing ancient broken armor, leading a group of soldiers, running back and forth in the ghost fog, like a patrol. Suddenly, a brilliant flame pierced the black mist. The ghost soldier who fell heavily on the patrol was stroked. The raging fire drives away evil spirits. A group of ghost soldiers wailed and screamed in the raging fire, and were burned to the ground in an instant. Seeing this, the ghost general at the head roared, drew out the half-cut knife at his waist, and rushed towards the direction of the flame. It's just that another fire dragon flew out of that place, entangled the ghost general, and burned him clean in 3 or 2 bites. The ghosts and monsters here are pure. A group of people walked out slowly. The Taoist priest is worthy of being the mages of the innate realm, and he has learned the true story of Thundering View. The thunder talisman can't come out, but the fire talisman already has such power, it's really powerful. Quote, a sassy woman with silver rings in her hair, wearing light armor and a long knife on her waist, praised her with respect and admiration on her face. Beside her, a square-looking middle-aged man in Taoist robes with a square face and awe-inspiring demeanor smiled slightly and said, Miss Shangguan is absurd. My Tao name is Hualong, and I am also good at fire techniques, and my attainments in thunder techniques are really mediocre. Shangguan Yu said with a smile, anyway, with Taoist Hualong, the innate Dharma sect, on this trip, I will be able to get the yin lingzi mushrooms and return to my life as soon as I enter this mass grave as if I were in an uninhabited land. I can't, the old Taoist can't be called Fazong. A group of people walked while talking, when suddenly a blue aura pierced through the ghost fog, attracting everyone's attention. Looking at the light, I saw countless lingzi mushrooms growing in a faint blue and shimmering light on a huge mound. Shangguan Yu's eyes lit up, and she said in surprise, yin lingzi mushrooms. So many. As he spoke, he went up to pick them. But before he took a step, he was stopped by the fire dragon dazed beside him. Miss Shangguan, please wait. Shangguan Yu turned his head, and Taoist, the fire dragon, stared intently at the direction of the lingzi mushrooms. Chapter 40. Shangguan Yu just wanted to ask what was going on. Then I heard a loud roar coming from my ear. Roar. Immediately afterwards, the ground under his feet shook, and a ghost chi soared into the sky. And the location where ghost chi erupted was exactly the huge earth bag full of yin lingzi mushrooms. Billowing ghost chi condensed into black smoke, and a group of yin lingzi mushrooms bathed in it, with blue light glistening, making them look more and more beautiful. Shangguan Yu knew why there were yin lingzi mushrooms growing here. It turns out that there is a powerful ghost hidden. The ghost grows luxuriantly only after it is watered every day. Boom. At this time, the soil bag exploded, and a huge ghost figure tens of feet high walked out of it. Looking down at the few people like a titan, surrounded by the monstrous ghost chi, only a pair of lantern-like oily green ghost eyes can be seen. Even if Shangguan Yu was so courageous, being stared at by those ghostly eyes, her pretty face would turn pale, and she took 3 steps towards the retreat, her right hand tightly grasping the handle of the saber at her waist. Even if Shangguan Yu was so stupid, the officials of the Demon Slaughter Division who followed her turned pale with fright, eyes revealing panic. At this time, the voice of the fire dragon Taoist sounded. You don't need to panic, just hide behind the old Taoist later. The fire dragon Taoist stood in front of everyone, and at some point in his hand, there was an extra palm-sized Dharma plate carved with red jade. He stared at the huge ghost with scorching eyes, and looked at it with joy instead of surprise. What an innate ghost general! It is very suitable to be used to refine Taoist guards. It seems that the old man is lucky today. As he said that, Taoist, the fire dragon, let out a long laugh, and leapt forward, flying tens of feet high like a big bird. As soon as the Faju was squeezed, the red jade fire plate in his hand immediately shone brightly, and from it flew out one after another fire dragons several feet in size, biting and biting towards the ghost general. The ghost general also seemed to be enraged, roared loudly, and soon fought with the fire dragon Taoist. The two fought against each other, the billowing ghost chi and flames mixed the ghost fog into a paste, and the momentum was astonishing. Shang Guanyu and the others stood far away, looking up at the fight between one man and one ghost, with slight shock and fascination on their faces. Is this the realm of innate? Really extraordinary. Quote. Tear. A black shadow rushed forward, tearing up and swallowing several corpse-eating wild dogs that were half the height of a person in an instant. When the black shadow turned around, he walked up to Su Yuxing and knelt down on one knee. It can be seen that its appearance is exactly the ghost of Chu Longjong. But compared with the previous General Chu Long, the current Chu Long has condensed the ghost body several times, and his strength has also greatly increased. That's right, so many ghost chi's flesh and blood are fed, and the strength can finally be seen. Su Yuxing looked Chu Longjong up and down in front of him, and nodded slightly. He has been walking in this mass grave for half a day. Encountered countless spirits, monsters, ghosts and beasts along the way. Su Yuxing didn't make a move once, leaving it all to the 10 ghost soldiers under him. The result was a series of battles. Of the 10 ghost soldiers captured in the prison, only Chu Longjong was left. Because there is no magical item for raising ghosts, ghost pawns cannot be revived after death, so Su Yuxing simply fed all the remaining ghost chi and so on to Chu Longjong. General Chu Long is also fighting for his strength. After eating so many of his kind, his strength has skyrocketed, and he has almost been promoted from a ghost soldier to a ghost soldier. The strength of ghost is divided. The strength of ghost pawns corresponds to warrior body tempering to condense the pulse, while ghost soldiers can achieve chi gathering. Ghost general corresponds to innate great master. Of course, just equivalent. Generally speaking, at the same level, ghost strength is far inferior to that of practitioner. Even the ghost raised in the Book of Controlling Ghosts is the same. Otherwise, the 10,000 ghosts nest would have dominated the practice world long ago. Su Yuxing felt the ghost chi that was fed back from Chu Long's transmission of the soul imprint in the soul body, and it was quickly converted into experience points, and couldn't help but sigh. The Book of Controlling Ghosts is indeed the Book of Controlling Ghosts. The first rank cultivation technique is not called for nothing. The strength of the subordinate ghost pets has grown, and it can also be fed back to the master. This is really a way to become stronger while lying down, a true summoner route. Quote. Although Su Yuxing does not major in ghosts, the Sin and Prison Sutra can convert ghost chi into corresponding experience points, and he can also enjoy this benefit. Just imagine, Su Yuxing's millions of evil spirits in the future, after a battle, how much experience points can be provided to him. Su Yuxing didn't even want to do it himself. Controlling Chu Long will open the way ahead, while he hangs behind and walks slowly. Just when Chu Long was about to fight a headless ghost, suddenly, boom, there was a shock ahead, and the flames loomed. Su Yuxing's expression moved slightly, and he cast his spiritual ear and divine sense at the same time. Soon a picture appeared in his mind. Innate great master. There are still people robbing monsters. Su Yuxing immediately put away the leisurely look on his face and turned serious. Then with a point of finger, Chu Long will be quickly retracted. The headless ghost, who suddenly lost his opponent, was still in a daze. An ray of saber light came, directly smashing it to pieces. After doing all this, Su Yuxing's body flickered, and his whole body seemed to turn into a wisp of black smoke, completely melting into the ghost mist. In an instant, it disappeared without a trace. Get together. The fire dragon Taoist pinched 5 fingers, and real energy poured into the fire plate in his hand. Long flame dragons flew out of the fire plate one after another. These fire dragons gathered in the sky, merged with each other, and soon turned into an unprecedented tens of feet of flame dragon. Go! Fire Dragon Taoist pointed. The flame dragon immediately entangled the ghost general. The fire dragon is now a bit bigger than the ghost general, and as soon as he met his face, he entangled him completely. The raging flames made the ghost general howl continuously. Suddenly, ghost generals gushed out streams of pale killing intent. These killing intents quickly condensed on it, and in an instant it turned into a pair of armor, and a forest-white long knife that was tens of feet in size. The fierce ghost general in sharp clothes, brandishing a long knife, cut the fire dragon into several sections with a few blows, turning into flames that filled the sky and scattered. As soon as the fire dragon was cut off, the long knife in the ghost general's hand turned. Aim at the fire dragon Taoist not far away and chop it down with a knife. Boom! The long knife fell, and a huge deep pit instantly exploded on the ground. Rolling killing intent engulfs everything around it. Sheng Guanyu and others who were watching the battle from a distance had not had time to exclaim in the future when they saw the fire dragon Taoist emerging from another place. Congeal evil spirits into soldiers. Good good good. I didn't expect that wild ghost generals could comprehend ghosts and supernatural powers on their own. The fire dragon Taoist stared at the furious ghost general with fiery eyes, and said word by word, "Such an old man will take you back and train you into a Taoist guard." Saying that, Fire Dragon Taoist flipped his palm. The red jade fire plate in his hand suddenly turned into a purple jade carving. The thunder light above beats, exuding a trace of masculinity and majesty. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.